Hello, travelers and monster catchers abound. I'm Stelliferous, and you have crash landed on the Monster Catchers Journal podcast, where stories from the edge of the known universe are brought straight to your ears. Every glyph has a story, and today might hit closer to your heart than most, because today is about fear, and his name is Nightfall. It started with a flicker, when we were investigating some strange lunar interference in the Looming Expanse. A barren stretch of cracked obsidian tiles that hum at night, like they're remembering a song long forgotten. Luna, Zena, and I had each gone separate ways to scan for anomalies. My glyph started vibrating in a low, slow rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. That's when I saw him. A floating silver moon cracked down the center, wrapped tightly in a barbed wire whip that shimmered in the dark like a warning. Like he was warning us to turn and run the other direction. He hovered there, trembling, but he didn't lash out until I got too close, and when he did, it wasn't to attack me. He was frightened and fighting off everything else, including himself. We've only just started our magic synchronization classes at the academy. Professor Orion warned me, "You're not just learning spells, Stelliferous. You're learning how to harmonize with your glyph," even though I wasn't even in his class. Their emotions, instincts, and essence. Unfortunately, my abilities are still basic. All I can do is heal and shield my glyphs, which is what we're supposed to do anyways, but no offense, no offense. No flashy magic, just protection and patchwork. So, when Nightfall cracked the sky with his whip and started panicking, I did the only thing I knew how to do. I shielded myself in Aura Beak. Then I projected calm, reassurance, and pressure. Because Nightfall wasn't angry, he was terrified. He lashes out when he's scared. The whip isn't a weapon, it's his barrier. It's his heartbeat. And he wasn't just scared of us, he was scared of being seen. Senna approached next, her glyph Ignazura glowing behind her. She said, "He's not a threat. He's a glyph born of anxiety, like a lunar phantom stuck in a panic attack." She was right. We stayed with him all night. Every time he twitched, I cast my shielding spell. Every time he calmed, I channeled healing over and over again, until slowly he started to trust me. He let me get close, he let the whip fall slack, and then he allowed himself to be caught. Now Nightfall lives in the darkest corner of my sanctuary room. He's quiet, reserved, still jumpy, but less so every day. When storms come on, alarms go off at the academy. He curls up under my desk and waits for the fear to pass. And every time I shield him, every time I heal the scratches, I know I'm not the strongest in the class, not yet. But sometimes being the one who protects, being the calm in the chaos, is exactly what a glyph like Nightfall needs. So, just be the calm in the storm for them. So, it's a new day now. And yesterday was a trying and honestly annoying battle. The kind that drains your energy and tests your patience, more than your skill. But I made it through, and by the end of it, Nightfall was mine. Today I decided to leave Glowfish behind and give some of my older glyphs a much needed rest. They've been through enough, so this is my current team. Orabeak, Centronaut, Shadowclaw, Lumapup, Pankin, and Nightfall. Not a bad lineup if I do say so myself, and today it was Nightfall's turn to shine. This morning I walked into the Luon Academy battle courtyard. Open sky, obsidian tiles warmed by twin suns, A perfect place to see how well my new moon-shaped glyph handled pressure without crumbling under it. The match was a simple trial, one of the Academy's rotating sparring matches. I volunteered Nightfall without hesitation. This would be his first real test of all 3 moves. Whip, which was just a clean snap of that barbed wire. Live wire, which was the same move but charged with energy and emotion, sending a burst of electrical feedback. And the last one, Dark Side, a taunt that taps into fear, projecting Nightfall's own anxieties into his enemies. He may be shy, but he doesn't pull punches. The opponent, a sneering upperclassman named Relo. He used a glyph called Brasshorn. Part steel, part wind. Looks like a bull, made of turbine parts and bad decisions. The match started fast. Relo barked commands, and Brasshorn charged Nightfall. Nightfall! Whip, I said. The barbed wire cracked forward, not flashy but fast. The whip scraped Brasshorn's plating, leaving a smoke line and making it hesitate. Round 1 not bad. Next I ordered Live Wire. Nightfall glowed faintly as energy surged into the whip. Static curled off of him like a storm cloud waking up. Now! The whip struck again, and this time it crackled. The impact sent Brasshorn reeling, electricity surging through its chassis. Relo actually took a step back, like he felt it too. But the Brasshorn charged again, harder, madder, faster. I had to act quick. Dark Side! Nightfall stilled. He dimmed. He pulsed once, twice, then nothing. A total eclipse. Brasshorn slowed, confused, its husk lowering. And then Nightfall's fear, his true fear, poured out. A silent psychic wave of isolation loss that feeling like the sky is too big and you're too small to matter. I felt it too, in the quiet corners of space. Brasshorn buckled. It didn't faint, but it backed off, shaken. Match ended. Victory awarded. Relo stormed off. Nightfall floated to me, still quiet, but calmer. He'd faced his fears and made them into weapons. I know some trainers like explosive powers or flashy finishers, but me, I've learned to appreciate subtle strength. The kind that whispers instead of shouts. Nightfall's not perfect. He still flinches when loud glyphs pass by. He curls up when thunder rolls. But he showed me today that courage isn't being afraid. Or unafraid, sorry. It's fighting while scared out of your mind. And that's why he belongs on my team. And today it came to the hardest part of this whole journey. Telling Professor Orion and Dr. Lang that I had caught this glyph. To be fair, Dr. Lang was never the problem. The man lives for the catch. You could bring him a sentient tumbleweed with one tooth, and he'd start cataloging it before you could even say wild encounter. But Professor Orion, on the other hand, he was going to be mad. As usual, Orion was hunched over his star maps, looking like he hadn't blinked in 10 hours. I didn't wait for him to speak. I caught another one. His pen stopped. Let me guess, he said, not looking up. You skipped your enchantment lab again. Ouch. Before I could answer, Dr. Lang stepped in from the side door, eyes lit like it was his birthday season. Let me see, he beamed, hands already outstretched like a kid begging for a toy. Tell me it's the lunar distortion anomaly from the Looming Expanse. I handed over the glyphid. Name's Nightfall. Moon body. Barbed wire whip. Defense type. Taunt move called Dark Side. Lang's grin was nuclear. Orion's frown deepened. Stelliferous, he said, finally turning to me. Do you even remember the last 3 spells we practiced in class? I opened my mouth, but all that came out was, I shielded Nightfall in battle. I healed him. I kept him safe. That's basic level 1 magic, Stelliferous, he snapped. You were supposed to be learning glyph channeling synchronization techniques. You can't just wander the planet collecting emotionally unstable glyphs and hope they save the day. I clenched my fist. I wanted to yell. Instead, I said, catching glyphs has been my dream since I was 3. I don't skip class because I don't care. I skip class because I care too much. Every day I spend in a lecture is a day I'm not out there finding someone who needs me. Someone like Nightfall. That shut him up. Ling looked between us like a kid caught between divorced parents, fighting over custody of a moon rock. Then he said, with respect, Orion, she may not be mastering fireballs and flight runes, but her synchronization is stronger than most of our top students. I've seen the logs. Orion stared at me, then finally muttered, fine, log the glyph, but you'd better show up for tomorrow's advanced synchronization class. You're wasting your own potential. He turned back to his charts. Ling gave me a wink and handed me back Nightfall's glyphid. Ignore him. The moon's lucky to have you. I couldn't understand why Professor Orion was so mad. I was in Higate's class for magic, not his. It's not like I was skipping. I'd show up, participate, even ask questions when I didn't know what I was doing. Okay, so I'd only come to Orion a few times for extra help with spellcasting, but that didn't mean I wasn't trying. But the way he looked at me today, you'd think I'd blown up the whole academy with a miscast spell. You're wasting your potential, he said, not even bothering to look at me. Just kept scribbling on that old cracked journal of his. I crossed my arms. All I did was ask for help. No, Stelliferous, he snapped, finally meeting my eyes. You only ever ask for help with when something goes wrong. You treat magic like a side quest. That stung. I never even wanted to be in magic classes, I muttered. You're the one who pushed me into them. He paused. A long, heavy silence filled the room. And now that I've caught Nightfall, I said, the anger bubbling up in my chest, it's just more lectures. I thought maybe you'd be proud. That you'd actually see what I've been doing out there. But no, it's still not enough. It's always, you're wasting your potential. Orion shook his head slowly. Because I see what you could become, Stelliferous. You're not just a glyph chaser, you're something more. But you keep refusing to believe that. I'm not refusing, I said sharply. I just don't want to become what you think I should be. That shut him up for a second. I turned away. I caught Nightfall. I survived the storm scar, Delta. I've held my own with some of the strongest glyphs on the planet Nibiru. And you still act like I'm a dropout with a glow stick. I took a deep breath and added, I didn't come here to be torn down. I came here because I wanted to get better. He didn't answer, so I left. And honestly, I wasn't sure if I'd ever come back to him for help again. A few days had passed since our last argument. I'd made my decision and dropped all the magic classes. I was tired of being told I wasn't enough. I wanted to focus on what I loved, monster catching. I was in the sanctuary tinkering with some new gear when there was a knock at the door. I didn't need to guess. I knew who it was. I opened it and sure enough there stood Professor Orion. Oh, it's you, I said flatly, rolling my eyes as I reached to close the door again. But his hand shot out, catching the frame before it shut. I know I'm not your favorite person in the world, he said, his tone softer than usual. But I can't just stand by and watch you walk away from magic classes. You can't force me to do something I don't want to do. I snapped, pushing the door again, but he held it, firm but calm. I'm not trying to force you, he said. I think you're making a mistake. That's why I told Higate you weren't quitting. I think it would be good for you, even if you don't see it right now. I crossed my arms, leaning against the doorway. You keep saying glyph catching isn't enough. Why do you hate it so much anyway? He was quiet for a moment. Then he let out a sigh and looked down at his feet. To tell you the truth, Stelliferous, he paused, as if the words were hard to say. I was never as good as you. Not even close. I tried to be a monster catcher once, too. But I was terrible at it. I failed more times than I can count. People laughed, teased me. I blinked. I'd never seen him like this before. Vulnerable. I was put in magic classes because I couldn't keep up in the field, he continued, and I hated it at first. But then I realized something. Catching glyphs is just one part of the picture. The other half is understanding the magic that connects us to them, that protects us, that keeps them from destroying us. He looked up at me, eyes tired but honest. I don't hate monster catching, Stelliferous. I'm just scared you'll make the same mistakes I did thinking catching is everything, until the day it isn't enough. The silence between us felt heavy. Maybe for the first time I understood why he'd been so harsh. It wasn't about control. It was fear. And maybe something like hope. There's something strange about hearing your hero admit they've failed at the very thing you thought they mastered. I stood there, arms still crossed, heart softening. Because Orion wasn't yelling, he wasn't lecturing, he was just telling the truth. I stepped back from the door just far enough to let him in. 5 minutes, I said. That's all you get. He gave me a nod and stepped inside like he was walking into a temple he hadn't earned access to in years. Nightfall hovered in the far corner, his silver moon body dim but watchful. Orion glanced around. This place. It suits you. I raised a brow. What? Messy and full of monsters? No, he said with a small smile. Alive. We sat down at the low table I kept for sorting Glyph I charts. I flicked a switch and the holograms flared up. My full team displayed a rotating ring, Orabeak, Zentronaut, Shadowclaw, Lumapup, Pankin, and Nightfall. You've built something real here, he said. But you're hitting a limit, Stelliferous, not because you lack heart. You've got more of that than most of the faculty combined, but because raw instinct only takes you so far. I didn't argue, not this time. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small shimmering stone, obsidian core, etched with violet runes, a soul link shard. I want you to take this, he said. It's a synchronization amplifier. It doesn't make magic easier, it just makes it louder, sharper. If you're even slightly out of sync with your glyph, it'll backfire. I hesitated. Sounds dangerous. He smirked. That's the point. You learn to listen better when the stakes are higher. I reached out slowly and took it, the shard warm against my palm. Nightfall drifted a little closer, curious. I'll come to class, I said, but I'm not giving up field work. I wouldn't expect you to, Orion replied. Just try not to vanish for weeks at a time without checking in. You've got people here who care about you. That caught me off guard more than anything. He stood and made his way to the door, but paused before opening it. I meant what I said, Stelliferous, he added, without turning around. You're not just a glyph catcher. You're something more. You don't see it yet, but I do. And with that, he left. I looked at the soul link shard in my hand, watched how Nightfall hovered over it for a moment, then nodded like he knew this wasn't the end of something. It was just the beginning. I tucked the shard into my satchel and whispered to Nightfall, looks like we've got more work to do. He flicked with a soft moonlight in response, and for the first time in a long time I felt like maybe, just maybe, I was exactly where I needed to be. Well, Nightfall, do you think maybe there might be a reason why Orion wanted me to change to the magic classes? Maybe he had something that he was right about. Like, maybe he was right about magic. Maybe I should learn magic synchronization so that me and my glyphs, including you, can fight a little better together. What do you think? Nightfall rubbed his face against my hand in response, and I knew that meant that he agreed with Professor Orion. that he thought that there was more to it than just the catch. And you know what? Sometimes the people who push us hardest aren't trying to hold us back. They're trying to push us forward. And sometimes the greatest catchers don't come from force. They come from understanding. Next time on the Monster Catcher's Journal, we enter the Mirrored Reef, where reflections whisper secrets and nothing is as it seems. Until then, stay curious, stay kind, and keep catching. Because next time, we're going to be catching Daybreak.